my name is Kimberly Wilson of Tranquility du Jour, and welcome to another episode of Tea with Kimberly. So please grab a cup of tea and your journal and a pen. And I'm going to walk you through just a few of my favorite writing tips. Now, these are outlined in Year of Tranquility. And, I just have found the writing process and the writing journey to be such a long one, but also, something that we do every day. If you think about it, you may be like, well, I'm not a writer. You are a writer. You write emails, you write text messages, you write snail mail, you write essays, potentially fiction, nonfiction, recipes, blog posts, articles. So think about the ways in which you are a writer, so to be able to really identify and name yourself as a writer. And then I also just wanted to share a few tips with you that I have found over the years to be quite helpful. And I will say, if you look behind me, over in that bookshelf, it is filled with writing books. I mean, an entire shelf. I think I've got an entire shelf and a half of writing books. So I have a few things to share, and I've written 6 books as to date, and I've been working on a memoir for a while, and we'll see how that comes along. I've just finished draft 2, so hopefully I'll be getting a proposal and the kind of first 50 pages out to my agent soon. So, I have had a bit of a writing journey, and Tranquil Chick, which is my first book, turned 16 this year, which is 2022. So look, in November, I'm going to try to do something fun to celebrate, commemorate, maybe like a sweet 16 for Tranquil Chick, because I know for a lot of people, that's how they found me. So I'm just adjusting. I have a cat behind me and trying to make space. All right, so here are my tips. First of all, and again, I'm just reading from here, it's page 178 for those of you who have Year of Tranquility, is study writers whose voices you admire. So even, and you can't quite see it, but over here are quite a few books that were very inspiring to me whenever I wrote Tranquil Chick and some books in that genre, like the Bombshell Manual of Style, A Year in High Heels, The Goddess Guide, The Little Black Book of Style, Cupcakes and Cashmere, Daily Candy A to Z, which isn't even around anymore. But these were all just like inspiring, fun reads from that genre, which was very much a genre about a girl's guide to X, right? And so I loved reading those books. I found them quite helpful. So study writers whose voices you admire, handwrite pages from their work to study their cadence, language and patience, the pacing, and sentence structure. Now, I will say I have not done this exercise, but it's something I've read repeatedly to try. And I think I just have to really hone in on who is a writer that I'm really drawn to now, and to do this practice, because it sounds so helpful and useful. And again, not because we want to parrot them or write what they've written, because you can't, because you're a different person, but to kind of get into the feel of the way in which they present their words. Next, read, read, read. This is a non-negotiable and a fun perk of being a writer. Mind map your story or project. So for me, my second book, Tranquilista, which came out in 2010, I mind mapped it because I wrote a proposal. It got accepted by my publisher, New World Library. And then I was like, it just feels too Tranquil Chicky. Like it's too similar. So then I just sat down and I did a mind map. Center, Tranquilista. And then I had all the branches coming off that were like the different chapters. And then from there, the branches would be like, okay, from the chapters, what are the components that would be in there? All right, so these are just, it can be a helpful creative way whenever you get a little blocked on what do I want to write about, mind map. And there's a lot of great tools out there. I even have a podcast that I did probably 10 or 15 years ago with somebody who wrote a mind mapping book. And I'll put a link to that in the section below this video so that you've got that in case you'd like to listen. Next is start a blog to create a consistent practice. And even if you're just sharing it with your mom, okay, there's something about writing regularly that can be so helpful if you want to be writing for publication, for sharing. Otherwise, you can just keep writing in your journal, which is lovely too. Collage what you want to write about to get clear on the reader topics and overarching themes. So this is what I did for Hip Tranquil Chick, because I did a big vision board, right? And there were all these images. It was very much yoga and lifestyle. And that helped me clarify, like, I want to do a yoga book for the modern girl. And that's where Hip Tranquil Chick came to life. I really credit doing a collage, and it's fun. Start or join a supportive writing group. And I really emphasize supportive, because although getting feedback is lovely and useful, they need to be people who understand you, people who understand and respect what you're doing, and who are kind and compassionate, and that also can give input, right? So keep that in mind. We do not at all want to be workshopping with people we don't know and who write completely outside of our genre. Even though I'm sure they might have some helpful feedback, they can also have some very harmful feedback. Visit a bookstore and notice which books and magazines you're drawn to, and then notice what's missing from that genre. Okay, so maybe it's health memoir that you want to write. Well, within the health memoir, and I think there's only one place in the country, in the world, that I have come across that actually has memoirs broken out by topic, and that's PALS in Portland, Oregon. So amazing. But anyway, so you may not be able to really break it down into memoir and health, but maybe you could do that even online. So just looking and seeing, like, what is missing? What could I add to that? And that's what I did, of course, with yoga, because at that time, there were just a few asana books and a few philosophy books. And I knew I wanted more than that, right? So think about what is missing. And this can also be done in magazines, looking at articles, magazines where you'd like to be published, and see, what are people writing about? What could be my spin on this? All right, review the submission guidelines in magazines. Add dialogue to bring characters to life and story to life. So dialogue can really help enhance. I mean, I've even found in my newsletters, my love notes that I send out, some rarely, but sometimes I'll include dialogue. And those are the ones I get the most comments about. And it's just a funny, like, few sentences that transpired, usually between me and my partner. And it's, it's something that grabs people. It helps people really, like, kind of see into what you're writing. Include the senses. Okay, so sight, hearing, sound, touch, temperature and texture, taste, all these sorts of things, right? It's like, how can you bring people into that moment, into that experience? So we like the senses. And then finally, create a powerful opening that evokes feelings, makes the conflict apparent, and leaves readers intrigued with questions about what's going to happen next. And this can even be a hook at the start of a blog post or an article. Now, in The Writing Life, which is a book by Annie Dillard, she writes, "Write as if you were dying. At the same time, assume you write for an audience consisting solely of terminal patients. This is, after all, the case. What would you begin writing if you knew you would die soon?" Doesn't that light a fire? So thinking about writing as a personal practice, as a way to express yourself. And again, it does not have to be writing for publication, even though those are a lot of the examples I gave. Be writing for personal expression, and also writing to send love, right? Snail mail. Who doesn't love snail mail? So beginning to identify as a writer, because you are, and thinking about these tips if you do in turn want to take your writing beyond maybe your blog that has your mom, or your journal, and share it with a larger, wider audience. All right, so you can find out more in Year of Tranquility. And I'll probably be doing a writing e-course soon that I think might be helpful and insightful for you as you think about, how can I bring my inner writer to the forefront? All right, thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you're inspired to do some writing, and let me know, hello@KimberlyWilson.com, what resonated. Have a great rest of your day.